Hello again. I wanted to talk about logging your readings and how that can be important. It can be very helpful. People that have been watching my YouTubes notice I'm always writing in a sketch pad. I don't like journals because they got lines on the paper, and I don't like lines. So I like a sketch pad. I can just scribble wherever I want to do and as I'm talking, and I might draw some things as I'm talking, and it just helps me a lot. Helps me think. I don't rehearse anything I'm talking about. I just know a topic I'm going to talk about, and then I just start talking. And this helps that flow happen if I'm writing. What I do with my readings, like I said, I usually have one of these hanging around. And so as I'm doing my reading, after the cards are laid down, I usually pick up a pencil and we start talking about the cards and the reading. And I'm writing down different cards that I'm seeing and what kind of meaning that it has for that person. Maybe some topic, some things they might be talking about, relocation. And I'm thinking about buying a new couch and other little things, details. And I might write that on here. And then I'll date it. And I might say the person's name, Mary, or whatever. And let's say a week later, so we have a reading now. And let's say a week later, Mary calls back and wants another reading based on the same issues we talked about a week ago. Well, now I'm able to go back, if my journal's nearby, I can go through there and look and see what I wrote about Mary's reading before. And we could talk about the things that did happen that was in those cards. Now we could see them in the present. We could also talk about maybe things I missed. And as I'm talking about those, I might be able to look at those. If I have the cards, some of the cards scribbled out on my paper, I can say, well, now I can see that card as meaning this or that because now I know what really happened. So this becomes an advantage. Lots of times a client will really be happy to see that you remembered certain aspects about the last reading with them, puts you on a more personal basis with them. So I decided to start putting out an actual Celtic Cross ghosted image on an 8.5 by 11 PDF file. And you can get one. You can get these if you want on my website. There'll be a link at the bottom of this YouTube in the description area to my website. And you just go to here. You'll see print out Celtic Cross, blank Celtic Cross, and in there you'll go to another page that says download and print blank Celtic Cross PDF scratch sheet. And it's just a ghosted image of a Celtic Cross pattern. No numbers, because I don't know what numbering system you might be using. It might be different than mine. No position meanings on it. You could print out a half a dozen of these, or whatever you want. It's just there for you. And play around with them. And if somebody does call you for a reading, you could actually write in, Page of Cups here, 5 Swords. You could abbreviate, and put the card meaning, put the cards that were in each position, and then date it. And question the person, Mary. Question, right on the back, different name. Keep it around. because this is now it's a recorded reading. This can help you a lot. I tell people in my classes, if you want to practice your readings, a good way to do that is to reverse things here and read something from your past, because you already know what happened there. And all we're doing with a reading is we're looking for events and opportunities and things that happen or could happen, people. The time element could be any time element. So if you know something happened in your past, it could be something that happened an hour ago, it could be something that happened a year ago, something that happened to you or somebody close to you. Do a reading on it. You know exactly what happened. Throw the cards down, look at it, and see if you can see what happened in those cards. And you keep looking at those cards, and eventually you will start to connect the dots, making associations from this card to what happened here. This person over here I can see associated with the Page of Cups. This over here is the opportunity. And you'll see the whole thing in front of you. So it's a good way to develop learning how to find meaning in the cards. If you take something that already happened, now you're forcing yourself to actually read the cards and see what happened, almost like a newspaper. And this develops your range of what cards can mean and how they can be interpreted to mean something that you already know happened. So it's a good way to familiarize yourself with the cards and what they can mean and how they can mean something by reading the past. Don't take world events and things like that. Take something that's more personal for you. Friends or family, things that with you, going on with you, that's fine. Because you can identify and relate more with feeling. You can get involved with that more. But it's a good way to familiarize yourself with what the cards can mean as far as something significant. So reverse it. Read the past. You won't make any money reading the past, but it's a good way to learn the cards. It's a good practice. And because of that, I decided to make something that just came out. It's tarot logs, a log or a journal, whatever you want to call it, for your readings. And this could have a lot of value because, like I said, these just came out. These are proofs. I made 2 of them. Tarot maps. There's one, 8.5 by 11. And a tarot reader's log is for another different type of template on there, which I'm going to show you later on, for any other type of reading besides a Celtic Cross you want to do. In case you don't want to do Celtic Cross, maybe you like to do the horoscope spread. Doesn't make any difference. Now you can log your readings. The advantage of having something like this is now, let's say Mary calls me today about a job interview, and we do a reading, and I tell her she got a job interview Wednesday, let's say, and I tell her, I see you getting the job. So Wednesday comes around, and she Thursday comes, and she calls me on Thursday and says, I didn't get the job, but there's going to be another interview. It's coming down to me and another person, and we're having another interview next week. Now I can go back to my journal and look and find, there's a directory here where I wrote down Mary's reading, page 64. Okay, I can look and see what we had here. I got notes, and I have the cards that were laid right here for Mary's reading. Now I can go back and see, why didn't I see this other interview? Now that I know what happened, I can go back to this reading and look at it. This helps me improve my proficiency as a reader. Because now I know what happened. I can go back to the screen and say, wow, well, I can still do another reading from Mary. But I can go back here and say, okay, now I can see this other job app, this other person applying for the job here. There's 2 pages in this reading. You and another person. I didn't see the other pages interpreted as another person. Now I can see that that's what it is. So logging your readings can help you as a reader see what later on, see what you missed, confirm what you were correct with, and ultimately become more efficient at what you're doing. Best way to improve on what you're doing is to keep records of it. Keep records of your progress. And to be able to go back to a reading you just did a while ago, because your clients will call you back with other issues. It might be the same issue, another reading now. That happens a lot. And to be able to go back and look at it is something that would be very beneficial. Not everybody wants to use this, I'm sure. To tell you, I never had one before. These I just came out with. I thought it'd be a good idea. They were easy to make. So I put them out there, and I'm going to show you how they both work in case you're interested. But I always use these sketch pads, and but this would be a lot more effective. So I think it would be a better thing to use. Plus, I can go right back to Mary's reading because there's a directory in here, what page that would be. And there is no Mary, by the way, so I'm just using a name. I think there's an advantage to using this. And I think it would be something that would be helpful for you. So now I'll show you how these, I'll show you what these are about. They're on Amazon, and try it, see what you think of it. Or if you don't want to buy that actual log, like I say, you can go to my website. You can print out a half a dozen of these if you're doing a Celtic Cross. The images are ghosted. The Celtic Cross image is ghosted, and you can just use it however you want. It's just ghosted in both my books too, so you can write over the top of it and still see what you wrote. And but just print out a half a dozen of these, play around with them, see what you think. You might like them, and if you do like them, you could just put them in a notebook or a folder and have a record there too. So now I'll show you what these are about. Okay, there's 2 books here. One's for the Celtic Cross. The other one is logging any other type of reading. This one for the Celtic Cross is called Tarot Maps, a log book for your Celtic Cross tarot readings. This one here is called Tarot Reader's Log, a diagrammatic journal of your tarot readings and predictions. But they're both just logs for your books. And the way, or for your readings. The way I do it is I have something in here about the way I do a Celtic Cross on this one for the Celtic Cross. I have a little something about why this is a valuable thing to have. So I talk a little bit about that. Then I show my Celtic Cross. I call it Celtic Cross 2.0. And how I do it. Just a brief description on how I do a Celtic Cross. And then we go into there's a directory. There's 63 readings for book. They're divided into three sections. This is section 1, section 2, section 3. Now, if I'm doing a reading for Mary, and I'm going to be on page, let's say I'm doing a reading right here, I could write in here Mary, December, whatever, 15th, 2018. And I know page 110, I can just go right there, and that's Mary's reading. So if I look through my crossing, the last time I read Mary, I can go back to the last reading we did. And the way this is set up is each reading is a 2-page, what's called a reader's spread. Left and right hand pages. I said the cross is ghosted on the right. Over here we have information about the name of the person, the date, the question, keynotes about the reading here, and then closure and predictions down here. And over here you could there's enough room where you can just write in the cards. Let's say this was Page of Cups. And you could abbreviate however you want. Let's say High Priestess. For High Priestess I just put HP. And 7 Swords. As long as I could understand it. Temperance, I just put Temp. 10 Wands. Hierophant, you could abbreviate these however you want to abbreviate them. When I get the Hierophant, I always put Pope because it was originally the Pope anyway, and it's easier to write. And Chariot, 2 Cups, 8 Pentacles. I write coins because it's easier to spell than Pentacles. And then Tower here. We'll put Tower here for the final. Now this is all ready to go, and it's recorded. So now, at this date, whatever that happens to be for this person, it's in the directory, and it's recorded, so it's ready to go. Now, if I want to go back to this, the last time I read Mary, and we want to refine what happened since then, I can go back to my card spread now and look right here at a glance and what the cards were, what was noted, what was told to Mary, what we decided would happen or what opportunities to come. And if there's something I missed, I could see it here now. Or at least I should be able to look at these cards and say, where is it here? I didn't see it before, but now I want to see it here. It's in here because it happened. Now I could look at this spread and say, okay, here it is right here. I should have interpreted this differently because now we know what happened. So that's why a log can come in handy to have. And this band, by the way, is just a it says not for resale. There's no band on the covers of these books. This is just Amazon's doing this because these are just proofs. So anyway, that's what I did. That's for the Celtic Cross tarot maps. A log book for your Celtic Cross tarot readings. And there's not much written on the book really. It just says tarot maps, charted predictions with the Celtic Cross. And so people won't really know what it is unless you want them to. This one here, Tarot Reader's Log, pretty much the same type of thing. A diagrammatic journal of your tarot readings and predictions. Now, if you're using something besides the Celtic Cross, this has the same type of thing. Introduction of what the cross, why this book would be helpful, how to use it, and then it shows examples of different card spreads that you could use. Here we have the Gypsy spread. Later, here's what the Gypsy spread looks like. Here's how it would be laid out in this book. The template. Here's the template for your masters, for your cards. So here's how you would lay it out for the Gypsy spread. Here's how you would lay out the Celtic Cross. If you want to use the Celtic Cross, here's what it looks like. Here's how you would lay it out. The horseshoe spread. Here's what a horseshoe spread normally looks like. Here's how you would lay it out on this grid, this template. The Tree of Life spread. What a Tree of Life spread looks like. How you would lay it out. The horoscope spread. What it looks like, and here's how you would lay it out. I do not go into how these spreads work and how the meanings are. You can find that anywhere. I just wanted to show how spreads can be used with the template. So whatever spread you want to use, whatever spread you like to use, you can just use with it. Then we have the directory. Again, 3 sections, 21 readings on each section for section 1, and you go right into it. So on the right over here, you have the grid. You might, on some of those spreads, you might end up turning like this, writing in Page of Cups. Again, as long as you can memorize, as long as you know what's written and what it means, you're fine, you know. Whatever type of spread you're using, you have it right there. You have the card spread up here. It's the seeker, the client, the date, question, keynotes, and closure and predictions right here. Spread. These are called, like I said, these are called printer spreads, or reader spreads, I mean. And you have one after the other. And there's 3 sections for each. And that's all there is to it. There's section 2, and you just go the same way. Again, this template is ghosted, so you can write over it. You don't have to stay in the lines here. You can write whatever you want, however you want. And you can use whatever spread you want, even a 3-card spread. Whatever you want to use. So, I think they'd be pretty handy to have. And something you might want to try out. Again, if you like the Celtic Cross, go to my website and print out the PDF file there. And you can just keep printing that out too and put them in folders. But if you'd like to have an actual logbook, I think that these, I've never seen anything like this before. It might not be something people like. It might not be something you use, but it might be something you really love too. So it'll be up to you. See what you think. And it's just something I'm throwing out there. I'm going to use them and see how they work. I think they'd be very handy to have. And I hope you like them too. Again, bottom of this description is the link to my website. If you want to print out that Celtic Cross PDF file, go right ahead. You can also print out the quick reference list of the one-word meanings. That's there too. So keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.